For today's video, we'll discuss some of the players that have been traded, or just about all of them, in the trade period for 2021 and discuss their relevance potentially for Supercoach 2022. I know most people are probably chilling, not too worried about Supercoach 2022 just yet, but if you are, here's some content, I guess. Not super impressed with a lot of these players, but I wouldn't call anyone a lock, but some definitely interesting ones to watch over the preseason. We can get a better understanding of their role and whatnot. So I know JD's done a video on this and I haven't seen it. Just want to make my own assessment. So we'll go through the list. I'll put in timestamps for once, which should make it easier so you can skip to whoever you want to, whichever player you want. So the first player we'll speak about is Giordano Dawson. So yeah, super happy as a Crows fan to see him walk through the door. So about a day ago, or 2 days ago, I wasn't really interested in Dawson because I didn't know how they were going to use him. I thought half forward. That's what they kind of alluded to. But in his press conference today, he said potentially inside mid, a little bit of midfield time, a little bit on the wing. No mention of half back, but mostly use it in the front half. So I know that the Phantom did tweet that he averaged 136 in the NEFL. I know that's not the best measurement, the NEFL comp, which is not a thing anymore, but nonetheless, that shows that he has midfield capabilities. So we'll see his role in the preseason, and 114 average, I believe it was, after the bye last year when he moved to the wing. So this is a really interesting pick because wing is traditionally not the best Supercoach role unless you're the elite of the elite. Which Dawson potentially, and we averaged 114 there, so that would have been number one for production on a wing. So Jordan Dawson, new club, probably won't get as many score involvements because he's not kicking to Papley and Buddy, he's kicking to Thilthorpe and Fogarty and Jimmy Rowe. Not the hottest forward line right now. Hopefully they can develop a bit more, but high on the. He's my highest one on the watch list. So I think he actually will be in my starting team after the comments today when it opens up in December. So keep a very close eye on Dawson. Does that help the Jake Lloyd pick? Well, the numbers show that Lloyd averaged pretty much the same in the second and first half of the year. So it didn't actually affect Lloyd. So Lloyd's still probably a safe option. So yeah, didn't really make much of a difference, but maybe Blakey goes back, but we'll worry about that in the preseason. So Dawson, 543k for next year approximately. Keep an eye on him. So the second player I want to keep an eye on, and most people that I've seen speak about, well, it's Lipinski, but the most talk I've heard on Lipinski is hard no. But he's on the watch list, so he'll be 355k, probably mid only. Heat map shows a lot of wing, not a lot of forward time, which kind of sucks. But Lipinski intrigues me because it reminds me of Isaac Cumming, where he's not best 22, not because he's a terrible player, but because of the class in front of him. Cumming had Heath Straw and Zach Williams, and Lipinski, we know about the Dogs midfield. So a little bit of criticism on him about his defensive work. His contested rate isn't super high either, so he might be better suited to AFL fantasy. Yeah, but the price is pretty terrible. But nonetheless, I want to see what he can do with some midfield opportunity. He's competing with DeGoey, Ladhams, Crisp, Finn McRae probably as well. Maybe Pendles still plays midfield, not sure. So do they use him a bit inside? Do they use him outside? Do they use him half forward? I assume he's gone there to play midfield time as part of contract discussions. So I'm intrigued by Lipinski because he's gone 80 average playing half forward wing. Like this year, he didn't attend a single centre bounce, average 66. So we'll keep an eye on Lipinski. So again, one issue is, was he just, when the Dogs had injuries, they still refused to play him in the midfield. So does that mean that he's not that good, or is it just Bevo not rating him properly? Not really sure yet. So keep tabs on Lipinski. The next player is Adam Cerra. Cerra's probably a no. The upside with Cerra though is he might get more inside mid-time because he was supposed to this year, but he got injured and he started on the wing a lot throughout in the second half of the year. So for that reason, there is upside, but good ball user, doesn't have Sam Darcy hitting to him, even though he didn't attend a lot of centre bounces. But Conning's not the greatest ruckman. But yeah, we'll support cast of Walsh, a few others now in that Carlton midfield. So that'll be interesting to watch. The more interesting one, aside from Cerra, is Will Brodie, because now there's a spot up for grabs at Fremantle in the midfield. So there's Brodie, Valenti, is it Tucker, and somebody else, can't remember, Blakely. I don't think he's very good, but nonetheless, Will Brodie, I've looked at his VFL or whatever it is, East Coast FL, whatever it's called, numbers this year, mostly in the first half because second half was mostly cancelled. It's mostly high 20s in the disposals, a lot of tackles, and a few games, at least one game with over 40 touches. So mostly high 20s to low 40s. Usually if he's stuck in the VFL, maybe he has a lot of tackles. So I'm not sure if it's his defensive work, or it could be his disposal, which is an issue. But Brodie will have to compete with Valenti, who seems to be always injured. I'm not sure if Tucker's best 22. And then kind of Blakely. So we'll see who kind of wins that spot. Maybe better to ask a Fremantle supporter. But yeah, 280k before discount because he played, I think, 5 games or something like that. So he might be low 200s in the forward line. That's pretty interesting. So I think he'll be in my starting team. If he's named round 1, I think you almost have to pick him, assuming he gets a midfield role. But we'll keep an eye on Brodie. So the next play is George Hewett, 395k off to Carlton, and midfield defender. So highest average is 88 a few years back. I don't know what he's capable of, and for me, if he's 400k, I don't really want him to make cash, trade him out later. I want him to be a keeper. I don't think we haven't really seen the ceiling for him to be a keeper. Could he average in the 90s? Maybe. I'm not sure exactly what his role will be. I presume midfield. And I'm not sure how good he is as a midfielder. He's been used as a tagger. Probably won't be used in defence. Again, same thing with Lipinski. They probably wanted to go to Carlton. Maybe it was money, but maybe he wanted mid-time. So probably competing with Matt Kennedy, who was good. That'll be interesting. So yeah, Paddy Dow's there. He's there as well. Not a big believer in Dow, to be honest, but needs a much bigger tank and not panic as much. So probably just competing with Matt Kennedy, but we'll see in the preseason. So he's a watch, probably unlikely. And the rest of the players here we'll touch on quickly. Potential relevance, but not very unlikely. Dunstan, gone to Melbourne for 96k roughly, probably not. There's potential there for him to do really well, but at that price, probably not going to be top 8 mid. But there's potential there. See what he can do when he's in probably a better environment for him. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes 105, but yeah, probably not enough. Sam Petrevski-Seton off to West Coast, 341k, probably a forward. A defender, because he was used at half-back. But they want to use him as a mid-forward. So with Petrevski-Seton, I don't see it. I'm just trying to think how many players entering their 6th year or 6th or 7th year and they just start playing well out of nowhere after showing nothing. So, with Lipinski and who was the other one? For example, with Lipinski and Isaac Cumming, for example, they were behind much, much better players, whereas Petrevski-Seton couldn't get midfield time ahead of Paddy Dow. So I'm not a believer at all. Work ethic and work rate, pretty close, those two, is not good enough. Sauce did speak about him on Trade Radio and said, he's a good trainer, but he's not an elite trainer. And unfortunately, if we want premium players, they need to be elite. So he ain't it. Don't think so. So needs a massive turnaround, but not interested at all. Chol. Now, could actually be interesting because Chol's gone to Gold Coast, 365k. Don't think I'll not heavily consider him, but he might be number 1 ruck until Witts comes back. I know they drafted someone in the preseason draft. I think it was Ned Moyle, something like that. So I think his ruck work is okay. Around the ground, probably needs to work on that a bit. Forward, again, it's hard to know when Richmond have other targets up there taking up space there. So he's had some big games, but consistency is not there for Chol. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Probably not. But just interesting that he could be solo rocking until Woods comes back. Jordan Clark, 335k. Off to Fremantle. So Geelong again getting rid of youth and bringing in old players. Interesting tactics. But with Jordan Clark, he's a halfback. He wants to play halfback or wing, but in his draft year he was always halfback. Geelong used him half forward wing, which was a little strange because they lacked pace and something. Matthew Scarlett didn't like what some of his defensive work, something like that. But nonetheless, he probably gets opportunity. We could see Hayden Young move into the midfield. I think that's potentially flagged. So there might be a spot. It might be his spot at half-back. He might take Young's spot. I'm not sure. Young can intercept, though, really well. Better than Clark. But Clark will provide that run and carry that I think all clubs would want. So, fourth-year player. Probably not. I think it's 335k. That's probably needs to be a keeper in defence. Maybe needs to make 150k. I'm not sure he can do it just yet. But remember this year he made significant improvement and in the preseason, but just didn't get played in position. So, and he had that big game in the preseason. It would be interesting if he has another massive game. I think he scored 120 in 3 quarters. But preseason games are a little bit more uncontested. So he could be one where we're like, oh wow, he looks fantastic. He's finally being played in position. But we have to remember in preseason games are a bit more uncontested, less pressure. So a little bit easier for outside players to do their thing. So an interesting one, but probably not for me. Peter Ladhams, no, not a big fan of him. Probably doesn't take enough marks around the ground, but tap work seems okay. But yeah, 410k, not for me. Ceglar, he's actually good last year, which is interesting. He averaged 90, 486k off to Geelong. It's got to be top. He's going to be 31. Needs to be, competing with Darcy, Gawn, Grundy, and the like. I just don't see it. So skip him. Darcy 4 might be around low 300s. Not sure because he'll get a discount. If Oscar McInerney goes down, and Fort has to solo rock for a significant period of time, we could look at him, but probably not. CCJ, 357k. I think North see him as a ruckman, but I thought his ruck work was atrocious during the season. I did like his... as my screen just flickers. I did like him as a forward, so I hope they use him forward, but I don't see any relevance here, but they do see him as a ruck, so give him a chance, I guess, but not a fan of his ruck work anyway. And Max Lynch to Hawthorn, maybe he's a 1-2 combo with Ned Reeves. Reeves is pretty injury prone. I'm not sure if Max Lynch is any good or not, to be honest, because he could barely get a game. So he'll be low 200s. So Jake Kelly, I have a few more here. Jake Kelly, no, definitely not. Could free up Ridley though, which would be nice. Tim O'Brien, probably depth player. Swingman, so no relevance there. Finlayson, maybe second ruck. No real relevance there. Forward as well. And Tarrant, obviously no relevance. So from the list here, the top 3 for me, number 1 is Jordan Dawson. Again, they did say, he's going to play a similar role in the second half of the year. Well, the role that he played in the second half of the year, that would be his role at the Crows. Similar, but maybe some slight tweaks. A bit more forward of the ball. So maybe it's like, don't want to compare it to Petrarca, but we see Petrarca, for example, doesn't really attend defensive stoppages. So maybe that's what Dawson will do if he plays mid-time. But you're certainly not comparing him to Petrarca. The next player will be Will Brodie as number 2. Forward line, low 200s, and capable of getting 40 touches in the NEFL. And there's opportunity there. His competition doesn't seem super strong in terms of Fremantle's, second or third tier mids. So he's got a great opportunity there. And then the third one would be Lipinski, 350k. Again, coming into the perfect age bracket, should get the opportunity. Huge VFL numbers, 35 touches a game. So again, 350k is a pretty disgusting price, and I think possibly Cornelio and Jared Berry will be in that 250 to 350 mark as well. But at least Lipinski has a bit more durability than those guys. So Dawson, Lipinski, Brodie, the main three, possibly George Hewett, and that's pretty much all I see from here. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I don't know when we'll see you next. Yeah, just keen for Supercoach to start again, really. Towards the end of the season, I just wanted it to end, and as soon as it ended, I just wanted it to start again. But yeah, a few more late December, maybe do some videos in between, not really sure, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.